Good evening, I'm Lexi Lepov.
And I'm Madison Moore. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. A gunman was arrested. A Lancaster man faces numerous charges in connection with a shooting and standoff at Ohio Christian University.
24-year-old Vale Robern is charged with improper handling of a firearm in a motor vehicle, inducing panic and disrupting public service and vandalism. It all started yesterday after Circleville police received a call about a possible car accident and a man with a gun outside a building on campus. The Lancaster residents fired one shot into the doors entering the Ministry and Performing Arts building. When police arrived, they found 24-year-old Vale Robern with a gun to his head behind the building. The Lancaster resident was taken into custody without further incident. A former correctional officer in West Virginia has been convicted of lying under oath about inmate abuse. William Lewis was found guilty of 2 counts of perjury by a Clarksburg jury on Tuesday. Lewis was a correctional officer at the U.S. Penitentiary at Hazleton, where prosecutors say that Lewis initially reported use of excessive force against inmates, but later denied these claims during an interview with an investigator. Lewis now faces up to 5 years in prison on each count. Ohio is receiving federal funding to plug abandoned oil and gas wells across the state. The $25 million in federal money comes from the new infrastructure bill. It will pay to close up to 320 orphan wells, some of which date back to 1800s. University of Cincinnati professor Amy Townsend Small says this will lessen methane emissions in Appalachian region where most of the wells are located. Townsend Small also says the effort will create new jobs for the teams plugging the wells.
The mayor of Portsmouth is calling for the state to mandate a standard of care in addiction treatment facilities. Mayor Sean Dunn and the Portsmouth City Council have been talking about how to regulate and ensure quality care at addiction treatment facilities for months. WSUZ reports he now plans to propose a request for state officials to intervene. Dunn says he will push for an extension of the moratorium for all medical facilities, along with creating a bench line for quality care for addiction treatment. The City Council will meet again on September 26th. Ohio State School Board will vote next week on a resolution against a new federal rule that requires schools to investigate claims of discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. If schools do not follow the rule, they risk losing their school breakfast and lunch funding. The resolution was proposed by Brendan Shea, a business owner who has 5 homeschooled children of his own. Shea argues that sex is a, quote, unchangeable fact. The resolution says the board thinks the rules are without legal force and urges all Ohio and private schools to not follow them. 5 of the 11 elected board seats are up this year, and there are 4 appointed seats that would be filled by the candidate who wins the governor's race. Groups on both sides of the issue are urging constituents to speak out at Tuesday's meeting.
And good afternoon, I'm your lead forecaster, Erin Ashley, and I'm sure if you've been outside today, we have been all over the place when it comes to those temperatures. Right now we're looking at the low 80s, but overnight heading into today, it actually got as low as 57 degrees here in Athens. So those are those seasonal temperatures, and as we head throughout the rest of this week, you can expect those temperatures to stick around. In fact, right now, Athens, we're sitting at 80 degrees, clear skies, a very beautiful night. If you have any plans heading out the door tonight, it's going to be great. It's actually going to hold out that way for the rest of the night. As you look at the regional satellite, you can see not much happening over our region. All of those clouds from this morning have since pushed out, and you can see nothing but clear skies for our region up ahead. And taking a look at one final look, at those temperatures, you can see here in Athens, the low 80s, and around the majority of the region, those temperatures are stretching from the upper 70s to the lower 80s. I'll talk about more when those temperatures will finally start to increase back to summer conditions, unfortunately. But for now, back to you, Madison.
Ohio's new abortion ban law has been put on hold for 14 days. A Hamilton judge granted a temporary restraining order on the state's new abortion ban, and the law bans the procedure once fetal cardiac electrical activity is detected. That's as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy. A group of abortion service providers sued, arguing that the right to an abortion is in the state's constitution. The new ban was initially passed in 2019, but took effect after the Supreme Court ruling in June. For now, abortions in Ohio are legal up to 20 weeks.
The world's best mine rescue teams are in West Virginia this week. Not for work, though, it's all for fun. The International Mines Rescue Competition is being held in Raleigh County. 9 different countries are being represented. Joshua Caldwell works as a mine rescue instructor at West Virginia University and will be judging the competition.
Mine rescue community, and in being so, we need to make each other better. We do the same thing. We have the same mission, and that's caring for people and taking care of our operations.
All week, teams will go through different simulations. They range from first aid to rescue operations to firefighting. The competition has been postponed since 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It will end Friday with an award ceremony. A rail strike that could have halted 30% of U.S. freight has been averted. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis sends migrants to sanctuary states. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
It's one of the most challenging viruses scientists have ever faced.
HIV is very clever. The virus can mutate where medication stops working.
After decades of innovations,
the science that's developed is remarkable.
Can we finally end the epidemic?
That is what I want to see in my lifetime, and I absolutely know I can.
Ending HIV in America.
We have the tools to stop it. Let's do it.
On Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Coming up on Craft in America.
Music is one of the oldest ways of communication. For hundreds of years, we were singing with our voices, we were making instruments.
The trumpets are custom made for each player, which almost nobody on the planet does.
It's a work of art just sitting on a stand, but in the hands of a musician, it turns into an expressive paintbrush for music.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
A few days ago, as we were taking a stroll around our neighborhood square, Father began to talk about going into hiding. He sounded so serious that I felt scared. Don't you worry, we'll take care of everything. Just enjoy your carefree life while you can.
This is considered the most dangerous animal in Africa. But there's more to hippos than their cranky demeanor. They are land beasts that spend most of their time in water. They weigh around 2 tons, but can sprint faster than a human. And they are protective parents. Go beneath the surface and meet Africa's river giants.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
A tentative deal has been reached with union freight train workers and management, essentially averting what could have been a major crisis on U.S. railways. The White House calling the agreement an important win for our economy. Chris Wynn breaks down the terms of the deal.
Crisis averted.
This would have been catastrophic.
Railroad unions and management reached a tentative deal Thursday, preventing a strike that could have brought 30% of the nation's freight to a grinding halt and pushed prices higher for many goods.
Had we had a rail strike, it would have cost the economy $2 billion per day of that strike.
Thursday, President Joe Biden appeared with negotiators at the White House after personally calling in during the talks the previous night.
This agreement is a big win for America.
The tentative deal gives union engineers and conductors a 24% raise during the 5-year life of the contract, which runs from 2020 through 2024. Back pay and bonuses will give them an average of an $11,000 payment per person once the deal is ratified. Union leadership releasing a joint statement saying in part, "Most importantly, for the first time ever, the agreement provides our members with the ability to take time away from work to attend to routine and preventive medical care, as well as exemptions from attendance policies for hospitalizations and surgical procedures." Sources within the unions gave the president credit for helping to get the deal completed without a strike.
They'll be able to continue to operate effectively as a vital piece of our economy. They're really the backbone of the economy.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
Although the rail strike was averted with less than a day to spare, labor shortages across the country are causing similar issues in other industries. Some analysts worry about West Coast ports, and some recent United Steelworkers negotiations have also been tense. Across the country, various teachers' unions have been striking, and some nurses have been walking off the job, and thousands of Delta airline pilots picketed before Labor Day weekend. Mortgage rates have reached their highest level since 2008. Freddie Mac reported the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage now averages around 6.2%. That's up from 5.89% the week before. It's also more than twice the rate from a year ago when it was 2.86%. Mortgage rates have been rising since the Federal Reserve began efforts to reduce inflation. Freddie Mac's chief economist says the higher rate will help cool off the housing market slightly, although the number of homes for sale still won't meet demand.
Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is taking credit for sending 2 planes of migrants to Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts Wednesday. State Senator Julian Sears said no notice was given, but the island community scrambled to help the migrants. Chris Tanaka reports.
Martha's Vineyard Community Services had 50 people sort of literally walk up to their front door.
For unsuspecting residents of Martha's Vineyard, that's when tonight's calamity began. But for the 50 men, women, and children flown there, none of whom spoke English, the trip began much earlier and much farther away.
From what we found out by talking to the people, they're originally from Venezuela. They were flown here. We're not sure what plane brought them here or how they got on a plane to here. They did tell us they came from Texas.
There was no welcoming party, so the group wandered some 3.5 miles to Martha's Vineyard Community Services in Edgartown.
Immigrants who were told that they would be greeted here with a place to stay and with jobs.
We're trying to coordinate to help all of you.
The group includes some elderly people and children as well.
They're using children as political pawns, but the island community has really rallied together.
All of the migrants tested negative for COVID and were given food, water, and shelter for the night. A harrowing journey made somewhat better by a community that stepped up in a moment of need.
We have volunteers from the fire department, police departments. St. Andrews, jumped in to offer space, and the hospital has sent people over. The high school sent people who spoke Spanish to help translate. It's literally all hands on deck of the community. Really beautiful to see the community all coming together to try to help.
DeSantis' move follows in the footsteps of Republican governors Greg Abbott of Texas and Doug Ducey of Arizona. They have been sending migrants to Washington, D.C., New York, and Chicago. Common sleep mistakes we make and how to avoid them. That story is still ahead.
And we've had some very nice weather over the past couple of days, not much happening over our region as we speak. But in my full forecast, I will talk about when we might see a chance for rain. But in the meantime, be sure to check out Newswatch on all of our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
Coming up on Craft in America.
Music is one of the oldest ways of communication. For hundreds of years, we were singing with our voices, we were making instruments.
The trumpets are custom made for each player, which almost nobody on the planet does.
It's a work of art just sitting on a stand, but in the hands of a musician, it turns into an expressive paintbrush for music.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Charlie Pride wanted to become the next Jackie Robinson.
Playing in the Negro League, the guys heard my voice and they said, man, you make a lot of money singing. You sing pretty good.
Instead, he became the first black country music superstar.
He sang it so much better than so many of the good country artists at the time.
Look for Charlie Pride.
The Jackie Robinson of country music.
On American Masters.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Man, it's already week 5. The time is just flying by. This Friday, we have the new Lexington Panthers taking on the Tri-Valley Scotties in an NBL cross-division matchup. The Waterford Wildcats take on the Eastern Eagles in a game that will have huge TVC hockey implications, and Barnesville will battle it out with River to see which OVAC team can go into week 6 undefeated. So tune in Friday night at 11:30 on WOUB. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
It's one of the most challenging viruses scientists have ever faced.
HIV is very clever. The virus can mutate where medication stops working.
After decades of innovations,
the science that's developed is remarkable.
Can we finally end the epidemic?
That is what I want to see in my lifetime, and I absolutely know I can.
Ending HIV in America.
We have the tools to stop it. Let's do it.
On Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm your lead forecaster, Erin Ashley, and like I mentioned earlier, we're kind of seeing our temperatures all over the place, very seasonal-like temperatures, both summer-like and fall-like. We're seeing a temperature of 81 degrees being the high for today. That's because of some mostly sunny skies. And the low for tonight, we're looking at 56 degrees. So again, kind of all over the place, but overall it's been a very pleasant day. Not much happening above us right now as I pull up our local radar. You can see nothing's moving. That's because we are seeing nothing but clear skies. And even if I expand it up, you can see out towards the west, you can see nothing else happening out there. And so even as we head throughout the week, expect for those clear skies to stick around. In fact, even into tonight, mostly clear, might see a cloud or two, but that temperature is going to hit 56 degrees. Overall, going to be a very beautiful night, maybe a little chillier than we might have seen in the past. Make sure to grab that jacket as you head out the door. Heading into tomorrow, conditions are going to remain pretty warm. That's because of some pockets of high pressure dominating over the area right now. Going to make things nice and dry, going to make things nice and hot. Unfortunately, the summer-like temperatures are here, and they are here to stick around. We're seeing a temperature of 84 degrees being the high for tomorrow. Again, mostly sunny skies, and that temperature is going to sit at 56 degrees heading overnight into Friday. And looking at the surface analysis, you can see on Saturday, high pressure is expected again. And so that's going to be the cause for some more sunny skies heading into our weekend. Looking at the 3-day outlook, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are all looking to be very, very beautiful with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Friday, you're going to see a temperature of 84 degrees, going to rise a little bit into Saturday, 85, and by Sunday, it's going to reach 86 degrees. It's going to feel a little bit warmer than those temperatures actually, in combination with any humidity, as well as that sun that's peeking through the clouds. So overall, it's going to feel a lot like summer heading into early next week. Expect those warm temperatures to stick around. 86 degrees on Monday, partly sunny. You're going to see a little bit of clouds heading into early next week, but fear not, we are still forecasting those mostly sunny skies heading into Tuesday and Wednesday, with temperatures in the mid-80s, 85 degrees, and even 88 degrees heading into Wednesday. Thankfully, right now we are forecasting a chance of showers on Thursday, 40% chance, which will cause things to cool down maybe just a little bit, but overall it's going to feel very nice outside over the next couple of days, especially this weekend. So make sure that you're outside and you're really enjoying this beautiful weather because it is not here to stay. I'll throw it over to you, Madison.
Thanks, Erin. The U.S. government is updating its latest strategy to fight COVID-19. The White House is unveiling a plan it calls the Global COVID Response 2.0. One official familiar with the initiative says the strategy is geared to end the global emergency and protect health systems around the world. The plan's objectives include vaccinating people with the highest risk and who are the hardest to reach to prepare for future variants and health threats. The official said the White House is requesting $4 billion to implement the strategy. The announcement was timed to coincide with UN General Assembly meetings so world leaders could discuss and coordinate the plan. According to the CDC, about 70 million Americans suffer from chronic sleep problems. One expert says many of the tactics people use to fall asleep are doing more harm than good. Mina Gaither has more on things you can do to help you get better sleep.
Catching those Z's. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Without a good night's sleep, it can affect both our mental and our physical health.
Between 2018 to 2021, Dr. Anissa Doss says there was a 29% increase in referrals to the Center for Insomnia at Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center.
I think it's a bigger problem than folks realize.
Doss says some common tactics may not be helping. First, going to bed early may leave you tossing and turning. Climb in only when you're ready to sleep. Also, get up about the same time every day.
Don't sleep in for 3 hours on the weekend, because then we're giving ourselves what we call social jet lag. It's no different from flying from New York to California for the weekend and then giving ourselves jet lag when we come back. So trying to be really consistent to keep that circadian clock in line.
After the sun sets, Doss says try to decrease artificial light exposure from TVs, smartphones, or other screens. But when the sun's up, get as much natural light as possible to help with sleep rhythms. Exercise is also key to helping you feel sleepy at night. It can also help reduce stress, another factor that causes lack of sleep. 2 things to avoid: large fatty meals late before bed. That kind of food can keep you up. And alcohol may help you nod off, but Dawes says it also leads to fragmented sleep. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
If you're having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep and it lasts for several months, talk to your primary care doctor, or if there are changes you can make to help you sleep better.
Coming up in sports, it's a big weekend on the gridiron as Ohio football hits the road and high school football hits week 5. But right after the break, the Ohio women's volleyball team is currently in action. We'll preview the rest of the weekend in sports right after the break.
Charlie Pride wanted to become the next Jackie Robinson.
Playing in the Negro League, the guys heard my voice and they said, man, you make a lot of money singing. You sing pretty good.
Instead, he became the first black country music superstar.
He sang it so much better than so many of the good country artists at the time.
Look for Charlie Pride,
The Jackie Robinson of country music,
on American Masters.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
A few days ago, as we were taking a stroll around our neighborhood square, Father began to talk about going into hiding. He sounded so serious that I felt scared. Don't you worry, we'll take care of everything. Just enjoy your carefree life while you can.
Man, it's already week 5. The time is just flying by. This Friday, we have the new Lexington Panthers taking on the Tri-Valley Scotties in an NBL cross-division matchup. The Waterford Wildcats take on the Eastern Eagles in a game that will have huge TVC hockey implications, and Barnesville will battle it out with the River to see which OVAC team can go into Week 6 undefeated. So tune in Friday night at 11:30 on WOUB. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
Coming up on Craft in America.
Music is one of the oldest ways of communication. For hundreds of years, we were singing with our voices, we were making instruments.
The trumpets are custom made for each player, which almost nobody on the planet does.
It's a work of art just sitting on a stand, but in the hands of a musician, it turns into an expressive paintbrush for music.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Hello again, I'm Ethan Sargent. The Ohio women's volleyball team is on the court right now for the Bulldog Brawl in Indianapolis. The Bobcats are currently up by a 7-0 against Butler. It's the first of 3 games that's happening throughout the weekend. The Bobcats face Missouri tomorrow and Notre Dame on Saturday. Ohio's 5-game winning streak came to an end last week after their loss to Tennessee Tech in the Bobcat Invitational. This tournament will be the Bobcats' final tune-up before MAC play starts against Miami at the Convo next Friday. The Ohio football team is headed to Ames, Iowa to take on the Iowa State Cyclones. After last week's tough lesson at Penn State, the battle with the Cyclones won't be easy. The Cyclones are 2-0 after wins over Southeastern Missouri and rivals Iowa, despite the loss of quarterback Brock Purdy and running back Breece Hall to the NFL. Quarterback Hunter Deckers will look to lead the Cyclone passing attack against an Ohio pass defense that's given up over 700 yards of passing in 2 games. While the pass defense has struggled, the pass rush has thrived so far over the first 2 games for the Bobcats. They've got 8 sacks on the year, including 5 last week in Happy Valley. Head coach Tim Albin is encouraged by how his defense has gotten to the quarterback, but needs to see them limiting passing offenses more efficiently.
Before with Coach Nowinski, that his track record is to get to the quarterback. I thought we left 2 or 3 out there, but we've got to find a way. Too many big plays, you know, and we miss tackles, you bet. But I think the opponent's got something to do with that. I'm not taking anything away from our guys or making excuses because that's done what we do.
Well, it is certainly an exciting weekend for football in the 7-4-0 with high school action once again taking center stage tomorrow night. Key games include what could be the MVL Super Bowl as big division leader Tri-Valley takes on small division leader and upset contender New Lexington. Other games to pay attention to including a big-time TVC hockey battle between Eastern and Waterford and a classic Southeast Ohio grudge match between Jackson and Wheelersburg. You can catch up on all the action tomorrow night on Gridiron Glory at 11:30 right here on WOUB. Ohio's field hockey team opens up conference play tomorrow on the road as they'll take on rival Miami in the Battle of the Bricks. Following a productive 3-1 start to the season, the Bobcats aim to continue their winning ways as MACtion begins. The Bobcats are led by senior forward Caitlin Whittle, who has been on a goal-scoring tear to begin the season. Miami is off to a bumpy start this year at 3-3, but are coming off a big-time win against the Ohio State Buckeyes. First touch is set for 1 p.m. in Oxford. The Ohio women's soccer team returns to Chesapeake tomorrow at 2 p.m. to take on Western Carolina. This will be the Bobcats' first game back at home since their 11-0 romp over VMI 2 weeks ago. Ohio dropped their last match 3-1 at Notre Dame on Sunday and will be looking to bounce back against the Catamounts. Western Carolina has a 1-2-4 record so far, but they lost their last game 2-0 at Radford. Abby Townsend has started the season red hot for the Bobcats, picking up 3 goals and 4 assists so far. Celeste Sloan has also stepped into the shoes of Sam Wexel, who started the season injured. The Bobcats have been super impressive so far on the pitch this year. I don't know if they could top 11 goals, though, not going to lie.
I know, those women are so impressive. I love watching the OU women's soccer team.
Absolutely.
They're so talented. Thank you, Ethan. Let's go ahead and take a look with Erin at our final weather.
Thank you, Lexi. Yeah, looking at the weather tonight, it's looking absolutely beautiful. 56 degrees is the overnight low, but mostly clear skies. And as we head throughout tomorrow, actually, expect those clear skies to stick around. Mostly sunny. Temperatures are going to creep up into the mid-80s. Going to feel a little uncomfortable, so make sure you plan accordingly tomorrow. 84 degrees as the high. And as we look into the week ahead, those temperatures are actually going to stick around. 85 degrees on Saturday and Sunday, going to rise a little bit more. We're looking at a chance for a cool down, 30% chance of rain as soon as Monday. Hopefully those temperatures will begin to lower as soon as early next week.
Outdoor clothing company Patagonia is getting a new owner, perhaps the strangest one a company has ever had. Founder Ivan Chenard announced Wednesday he is giving the company away to Earth. Well, technically speaking, all the voting stock will be handled by a trust created to protect the company's values. All the non-voting stock is going to a nonprofit dedicated to fighting what he calls the environmental crisis. According to Chenard, the plant is now the company's only shareholder, though presumably some forms of humans will be named trustees and able to vote on key company issues. The company is valued at about $3 billion. Chenard said he thought about selling Patagonia or going public, but neither option guaranteed workers wouldn't be laid off and the company would retain its environmental values.
What a wonderful way to use your big platform for good. What can I say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very impressive.
Yes, very.
Yes. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching.
I'm Madison Moore.
And I'm Lexi Lepoff. Stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night and stay safe out there.
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling, keeping homes cool all summer with Tempstar. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC service and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel.